It's Bowling Green week. Brian Kelly just addressed Bowling Green, Notre Dame's opponent this weekend. Actually, Tim, there was more talk, obviously, about Brian Van Gorder, the former defensive coordinator, than Bowling Green itself. He didn't go through the long litany of praise for the opponent. There's not a lot of good things to say about Bowling Green so far in this season, but he did talk about Brian Van Gorder, the former Notre Dame defensive coordinator.
He mentioned that he believes that, when the talent is in place, Brian Van Gorder will get him playing sound fundamental football, so we're just using words that don't make any sense anymore at press conferences. But he also noted that, he hasn't talked to Van Gorder since, that Van Gorder has been busy moving around, and I'm not shocked by that. When you fire your friend, you might not talk in the coaching setting. Look, there's nothing positive you can say about Bowling Green's defense right now. I think Brian Kelly took the right tactic, saying, hey, maybe he will build it in the future. He did do that a couple decades ago in Georgia. So Notre Dame is going to destroy Bowling Green this week because everyone is going to destroy Bowling Green. But Kelly mentioned, look, we have a standard, and I want to see people play to a championship standard, and if it's not, then it will be addressed. That is probably the best way to go into this week. Not to try to tell them, this is nameless, faceless opponent, but I expect you to be great regardless of your opponent.
Each week is a different way of motivating, and this requires something very special coming off of Georgia and Virginia and the defining game statement following Georgia regarding the Virginia game. He says what he asks his players is do you want to be great?
Right.
And I think that's the right approach. It was interesting talking about Julian Okwara. He said that he probably would have laughed out loud at the notion of Julian Okwara a year ago
I would think so.
being named a captain of the Notre Dame team. He's come a long way as a leader.
Well, it's leads by example, and he was a guy that he was just out here developing as a football player. There was Khalid Kareem, to put in perspective, we were told has always stayed and helped the younger players. You never heard that about Julian Okwara. I think it's a testament to Okwara's growth as a player that he has put himself not only in position to be a high draft pick and to dominate some games, but that he can help lead, because you do want your best players to be leaders. And for the fact of him to join Khalid Kareem as two defensive ends as captains, it says a lot about his growth.
Brian Kelly was asked about Ian Book and his progress, and he said certainly he'd like to see him play better, but he also concluded by saying that he's not disappointed in the way that he has played overall. He consistently cites, it's 14 starts now, I think, under his belt. He consistently cites that, which is not a lot for a quarterback by quarterback standards, but I'm sure a lot of people raise their eyebrows at the notion that he is, quote, not disappointed in his play.
I would say that, to be fair, Ian Book has to be better in October, November than he was in September for Notre Dame to continue winning all their games. And also, to be fair, Ian Book was the best quarterback on the field Friday because he committed 0 turnovers versus 5. And I know Bryce Perkins was awesome in the first half. There's 2 halves of football. Ian Book was pretty good in the first half on those 2 touchdown drives. He wasn't great. Would you rather have 5 turnovers? Because then you just bring back Everett Golson and tell me how good he was in the second half of 2014.
Yeah, protecting the football. That's something that Ian Book has done. In his 14 starts, generally speaking, he has protected the football well. I asked about Sebo Flemister. Brian Kelly says that he is earning trust to get more carries. Obviously, the 11-yard touchdown run was a beauty with several broken tackles and the check down pass for 13 yards. He's improving. He was also asked about special teams hiccups. He said he had a different word that ended the same way for the special teams. The special teams weren't good on Saturday. They were bad. It was a failing grade. But they were really good against New Mexico and Georgia, and it was kind of a wash against Louisville.
Yeah, I think as long as you don't see that again, it'll be a challenge this week because you want to get new players in on special teams. So you're coaching new players, and Bowling Green has to try stuff on special teams in this game. So it'll be a test for Brian Polian and Kelly and the young players' focus. If you're going to play the freshmen that have not debuted yet, or the guys that have and are going to play 4 games, this is the game to do it. And special teams is the place to get them in. I would only be concerned if it happens against USC or a team like that, because, look, to be fair, Brian Kelly's only had 2 really good years on special teams out of 9. This one started well. That was a major step back in what could have been a costly situation.
From here we go directly to the podcast. It's going to be not a lot of talk about Bowling Green. We'll be saving more for that on Thursday. We'll be wrapping up Notre Dame, Virginia in today's podcast.